If you don't have flow, you don't have a show. Because if you don't have flow, your show feels slow. This is MultimediaJay Radio Style for Friday, March 17th, 2017. Let's start the show.
MultimediaJay Radio Style.
Nice, quiet morning, St. Patrick's Day nonetheless, but I'm sure that the mellowness of this morning will give way to some celebrations later today. Nonetheless, though, it's still vacation for me, so I'm still taking it easy. Got a few things to do today, but that's roughly it. Things will change, of course, next week. A lot. In the meantime, let's talk about some things that have been going on with this channel and otherwise, and talk about show flow and why I said what I said during the intro to this discussion. First update regarding yesterday's Ashen's pastiches and the end. That was not my last upload, obviously, and it wasn't my last Ashen's pastiche either, but it is going to be the last in a regular series like what's been going on for the better part of the last 5 years. Basically, I had never knew that would get as big as it did, but eventually things kind of, started making other pastiches and things like that, and of course, with the questionable future of the plaid sofa, I probably was on the road to disappointing people when I decided to get rid of it. But quite frankly, it was time for that chapter of this channel to come to an end, and basically afterwards, well, I may return to the format, but it might be with a different piece of furniture, or, it's not going to be a regular thing with 3 freaking seasons. I mean, I really was turning into the irate gamer to Ashen's as the AVGN on that one, and but fortunately people were good sports about it. The first time I tried uploading an Ashen's pastiche in 2008 regarding the retro duo, it gained nearly 100,000 views and a bunch of angry people from across the pond saying, "You're not British, you don't talk British, you're American, stupid, just talk the normal way, you idiot, stop ripping off Ashen's, blah 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 blah." So I could bring it back, but it has video game footage in it, including Nintendo products, so it would have to go back to the Daily Motion page in the Classics series. Either way, the sofa reviews pastiches are not done. Just the regular, we're gonna have playlists for this stuff thing, because that the season 3 of that was just dragging like you wouldn't believe. So there were cases where I would record one of those and it would sit for months until I finally felt like finishing it and uploading it because they weren't very time sensitive. There were a couple of situations where someone paying really close attention could have figured out that that was going on, but at this point, it's not worth your time to go looking back for that stuff over and over again. But basically, the Ashen's pastiches are basically done as a formal, regular thing on here. They might be under the pastiche and parody umbrella from here on out, but I don't think there's going to be enough of them to justify seasons anymore. Second update, the Plotagon cartoons. Now, what I have right now is World of the Nerd Couple, which is an ongoing drama. Last go around, the Vacation Liberation episode poked fun at the Nintendo Switch. I had to be very careful with that because Nintendo has been jumping all over people's videos about their products, and they got their archaic, outdated social media policies. So the only way I can really talk about the Switch is through allegory like that, as part of the cartoon series where the character has it pinging on her phone, or Lauren, I should say, has it pinging on her phone, and she can't get away from news about the Switch, blah blah blah. Might do something similar for the Ryzen R5 as well, but in terms of the Plotagon cartoons, in terms of the feedback I've been getting on them, I checked out the real voice support that Plotagon has, and the lip animations are weird if you record a real voice because the computer's kind of winging it as to how to animate the character as you're talking. So it's a choice between the character sounding weird or looking weird, because it's going to look like an out of sync movie or something like that, or a movie with English subtitles. Basically, they don't have it down just yet, but anyways, they could fix a lot of the problems with the computer voices by simply allowing other voice engines on your computer to be assigned to characters without having to record the dialogue and risk the lip animation issue because you recorded dialogue from like a different voice engine like Microsoft Mark or Learnout and Hospy or something like that. As some of you might have noticed, though, my current Plotagon cartoon ensemble does leave a large gap for more disjointed skits, because World of the Nerd Couple is an ongoing story and an ongoing drama that kind of makes fun of tech and other stuff in the process. On the other end of that spectrum, though, is the disjointed skits, where you just flip between scenes, make jokes, and move on, and that would resemble a pastiche of Robot Chicken. That's the sort of thing that I've been tossing around lately as to how I would proceed with something like that, and I would basically cover the whole spectrum of what I could do with these cartoons in the first place. So what I'm also thinking of doing with the Plotagon cartoons is basically like what I did with pastiches and parodies. I started with one type, and then as others came in eventually, if there was enough of them, they got their own playlist, but all of them together had a big umbrella playlist for pastiches, parodies, and other randomness. I think basically the Plotagon cartoons will eventually replace the World of the Nerd Couple playlist that's posted on the front page. When and how I proceed with that, though, I'll figure out later. Now, let's get to our discussion about show flow, as ironic as it is, because I've just given you a very, very good example of terrible show flow, and the sort of thing that I can't stand when I watch or listen to so much stuff that's posted on YouTube these days. So I hope this is a good example just to start things off and get the old gears turning. We're 5 minutes into this discussion already, and only now are we getting to what's mentioned in the title, what's mentioned in the picture, and what people clicked on this thing in order to get to and talk about. And now here I am essentially repeating what the title already says. And actually, I did mention it in the intro to everything, but then I did something else for 5 minutes. So yeah. If you don't have flow, you don't have a show. Because if you don't have flow, your show feels slow. Show flow is something that is ridiculously lacking on so many, including high-end tech channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I recently spotted this on Paul's Hardware, of all places. But it's just, I've been wondering, why has the Green Ham revolution been what it is, and why have I been changing up my format? It's because I've noticed these sorts of things, particularly with my own stuff. I go back and I try and watch one of my old uploads, and I can't, because I'm making fun of myself the whole way. I'm basically Ret-superating myself. It's just like, how did I do this? How did people, and you know what? This is coming back as well when YouTube's algorithms kick in and they send a random video around after 6 months. Because, for example, Wacky World of MultimediaJay, there's an element of ongoing story to it. But when you have all these people watching the video after it sat on the website for 6 months, and then the algorithms finally started promoting it, they're only going to see that one piece of the story, including stuff that doesn't make any sense to anybody who wasn't watching that video when it first went live. That's a problem with the YouTube algorithms, but it's also a problem with the whole people element of it, in so much that people are basically just finger-pointing the YouTube algorithms instead of trying to promote or support the YouTubers they allegedly support. But that's a completely different discussion, and I believe it's one that we've already had before, so let's move on here. Show flow is a concept that goes all the way back to college radio for me. There were people that gave you some sheet of paper like how to do a good radio show for newbies, and it talked about your show needs to have flow to it. But the thing is, there was never any concrete definition of what exactly show flow was. It was just kind of this thing. You either had it or you didn't, and your show was liked or it was hated. And I've wondered about that ever since, but as I've tinkered around with this new media stuff, I've actually figured it all out, at least in terms of something that people will appreciate once they get a hold of this as well. And it's something, sadly, that is very hard to find on YouTube, and it's one of those little things that might be part of the reasons why certain channels do better than others, because they nail the show flow thing a lot better. The problem is, YouTube started out as basically an audio-visual social media where people were doing videos in response to each other, doing vlogs about telling you how their day went, all kinds of things like that. Not exactly the sort of thing that encourages show flow. And some of that sticks around to this day because people think, oh, well, it's YouTube. I can get a little vloggy at times in my review of some tech product and people aren't going to care. Wrong. YouTube uploads are uploads. They're editable. You have the chance to edit before you upload. You should do so. The off-the-cuff stuff comes with the turf for something like a live environment like Twitch streaming. And that's actually, I did a blog entry on that about YouTube videos, YouTube tech videos, get to the effing point, where I talked about, actually there was this Twitch streamer, he came over to YouTube and did a video, but he acted like he was streaming on Twitch. And he wonders why people didn't like his video very much, because It's an upload environment. You can edit beforehand to trim the fat, so to speak. It's not like on Twitch where, oh, I'm getting a little bit of lag as this game's loading, so, how is your day, folks? Almost loaded here. We're gonna get playing very, very shortly. Darn, my internet sucks. No, it's things like that. You have the opportunity to chop that out. And there was a time when YouTube actually went too far in the other direction and you had the jump cut vlogs, which just, it didn't seem like a natural conversation that someone was having because they would jump cut every other second because they were trying to trim their video down as much as humanly possible to the point where it was way too loaded with jump cuts. And people basically just, you almost couldn't follow it because they kept skipping and skipping and skipping because they were cutting out all the silent bits. And it was like, you're getting machine gunned with syllables after syllables and words after words after words and blah, 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 without a break, of course. So it's been a hard balance to really hit. But the point is, in an upload environment, you get to edit. So edit. Make it something where you're not going to do like what I did, blah, 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 and then finally get to what the video is about minutes later. This is what people are running into when they watch the WWMJs from 2015 or so. And of course, intros too. I mean, yeah, sure, it's fun to imitate 80s television or something, or 90s television if we were little kids watching TV and yay, now we get to do that. But in this environment nowadays, television style just isn't totally the thing to do anymore because you're talking about content on demand. You're not talking about a show's coming on at the start of the hour and everybody's got to go run in front of the TV or turn on the TV, wait for their TV to warm up or something and hopefully not miss any content. That's not the way the internet works. That's not the way I think television even is getting better at that sort of thing nowadays. Of course, with what DVRs can do in the whole 9 yards, even old school TV has kind of moved away from that. But it's fun to imitate the style every so often. But if you do like what I did and you basically create an environment where the first 30 seconds of everything you upload is always skippable because it's an intro and it's always the same stuff every single time, well, game over. And that's what's at the heart of all of this, is that in an upload environment, not only can you edit, but your viewers can skip. There's not a doubt in my mind that someone listening to this right now is going to start to get this weird look on their face because I'm going to call them out that they skipped my intro and tried to find the spot in the upload where I started talking about, show flow. And they finally found it around the 5-minute mark and are like, boy, this guy's an idiot. So to those of you that are turning red-faced right now, well, what are you going to do? But it's been a wake-up call for me. It's been a really big one. It's been a really big wake-up call for me because I've been noticing, as I've been trying to watch even big-time tech channels talk about stuff, I find myself, I'm like, okay, the video's about this. Where do they actually start talking about it? They may have like a 5-second intro. They may even have a stupid ad as part of the video before they get to what they're actually talking about, despite YouTube's plethora of ways to serve advertising and things like that. Oh, well, whatever it takes to get around people's ad blockers, except they're skipping that probably too. But, yeah, so I've been noticing that lately. I just can't watch. I'm like, okay, this video is about this. Okay, where exactly is it? Skip, 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 skip. And guess what's not happening when I'm skipping parts of the video? Guess what's not happening? They're not getting watch minutes. So it's not working out for them anyways, because that's the main thing that YouTube is using nowadays to measure who should get promoted and who should get buried. Watch minutes, if not ad revenue, based on watch minutes. When I stop and think about what exactly has annoyed me with people's channels, uploads, whatever, over the years, nearly every single one of them has something to do with show flow. Somebody who just gets their video going and then blah, 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 30-second ad that's part of the video, that's a problem with show flow. Somebody who chit-chats at the beginning and doesn't get very quickly into what I just clicked on and what the title of the video or even the thumbnail might have suggested, show flow issue. Somebody who spends the first minute or so basically restating what's in the title. Like, for example, if you say you're going to be talking about how the Ryzen does in a certain game. Hello, everybody, this is so-and-so, and today I'm going to be doing a video about how the Ryzen does in a certain game and blah, 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 blah. You repeat some background information. Here's the thing, though. I clicked on a video saying how this is a video that I can see is by so-and-so about how the Ryzen does in a certain game. I already know that much. And YouTube, it's not like YouTube only has a single channel, your channel, when people go over to certain videos. It's good maybe for some background information, but I've seen some tech videos that spend the first minute or two basically doing recap as though you'd never watched a single tech video about what you're looking for at all before clicking on that one. That's a show flow thing. Another thing with show flow, and this is a massive one, the mid-roll ads. That is something I absolutely despise and refuse to use and want YouTube to get rid of. It's a lazy way of inserting an ad exactly halfway through an upload, so suddenly, voom, the video goes out, and hopefully you don't get a 30-second unskippable, which completely slaughters the show flow. That right there. The mid-roll ad is the ultimate proof that YouTubers are so stuck in their old habits where show flow didn't matter because I'm just vlogging about how my day went or responding to somebody else's, so I'm just blah blah blahing in front of a camera. The fact that that became an officially supported feature when it is so detrimental to show flow just shows what kind of bad habits this platform has encouraged over the course of its existence. And there's also problems with show flow at the end as well. Like if suddenly you abruptly stop and you're like, speaking of which, blah, 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 advertising at the end, or even the call to action. I mean, what is the call to action? It basically says, hey, what you wanted to watch is over, click away. Now they're going to bug you to subscribe every single time. Hey, everybody, if you liked it, da-da-da, click this. If you like that, click that, blah, 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 blah. And it's the same stuff over and over again. Don't forget to click subscribe. End screens, however, are the polar opposite, and they are far superior to the old calls to action, because the old calls to action, some people tried to sneak in clips afterwards to try and give people a reason to keep watching as they're going, blah, 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 please subscribe, blah, 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 please like, blah, 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 please dislike. But anyways, the old calls to action, they slaughter the flow of everything, because you've just been talking about what people want to see, and now you're like, well, if you liked it, like it, blah, 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 blah. It's a dead giveaway that what the audience came to see is over. So let's click to something else, and there's nothing really for them to click to because they have to wait for you to finish blah blah blahing, or maybe you have it as part of the end screen as well. But quite frankly, the new automatic end screen feature is far superior. You see it, boom, okay, video's over. Do I want to watch something else or click away? Click on one of the things that pops up, something along those lines. But that hasn't stopped some channels from having both a call to action when the content you came for is done, but they don't want to say it. Like, oh, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Leave a comment, blah, 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 like and share, blah, 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 blah. And then they go to an end screen where there's more videos to click on, but by that point, most people have probably clicked away. It's, oh, video's over, let's find something else to watch. But indeed, everywhere I look, over the years, the things that have annoyed me the most have all had something to do with show flow. And on the other extreme, the channels that I've liked the most have actually done a very good job with show flow. That should give this whole show flow idea some kind of credibility for those of you who want to make your channel better, and even someone like myself. And that is why I've made the changes that I've made to WWMJ, and will continue making the changes that I'm making to other stuff that gets uploaded as well. This being one of the wild exceptions, and probably the vlogs too, but the vlogs basically are what they are. So, but in terms of the other stuff that's supposed to be a main series on here, show flow, show flow, show flow, show flow, show flow. It needs flow to be a show. Otherwise it feels slow. There is no substitute. The days of crappy webcam video, blah, 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 I'm responding to blah, 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 and I want to talk about blah, 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 are over. And even if YouTube had kept vlogging as a dominant feature, like in the olden days, the rise of the live platforms would have forced these changes, because when you're watching someone live, of course there's going to be crappy show flow. It's a lot harder in a live environment when, hey, we're streaming, how are y'all doing tonight? We're going to play some Battlefield, blah, 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 and things like that, but you don't get a chance to edit. So it just comes with the turf. But when you see that sort of stuff on YouTube these days, it's really something to cringe at. And that's what I've been seeing from people that have basically failed miserably at this stuff. I wrote a blog entry about it earlier. The guy's there, Twitch streamer doing a YouTube video, but he's keeping the same disjointed, no show flow way of talking about a tech product. And he's wondering why he's getting adverse reactions in the comments. And I even chimed in, I said, it's probably because you're acting like you're streaming on Twitch. You need more show flow. You can edit stuff, so you should. Don't know if he took the constructive criticism properly or if I'm now banned from that channel, but either way, our feelings, emotions, and opinions on the topic of show flow do not affect the fact that it needs to exist in an upload environment. How we feel about it doesn't change the reality that show flow is a thing. It matters, and even if YouTube had stayed very, very vloggy, it would have been unavoidable. As the live sites became what they are today, this would have lit up more and more as something that needed to be addressed. And sadly, even with the shift on YouTube towards more produced content dominating everything, it's still a thing. I still see it even with big tech channels nowadays. You'd think, have these people ever had a radio show in their life? Have they ever heard anybody say anything about show flow to them? And unfortunately, the platform has fostered bad habits here on this site. It's a holdover from the vlog days, but it's going to hold channels back. And quite frankly, I've about had enough of cringing every time I watch any of my old stuff. I should be able to actually enjoy what I put all that effort into, but here I am all this time later with lessons learned and everything, going back, trying to watch an old tech video or something, and I'm like, how did I ever consider this to be anything good? Hence the changes, and Semper Reformanda only further reinforces that idea. There will be blog entries on this at some point, maybe even an entire category on show flow if I have that many videos to chime in on. But for now, let's enjoy our Friday, let's enjoy our St. Patrick's Day, and let's work on that show flow for those of us who upload stuff. This is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.